Okay. I may have to end. I may have to end 15 minutes earlier today. I explained I'm leaving tomorrow evening for Vrindavan. So it's always that consciousness of leaving and getting everything done. So reading from the Caitanya-bhāgavata Antya-khaṇḍa 304, text 117. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yadi balāi se rājāra mukhete, tabe se balibe rājā, āmāre cāhite. The king will say that he wants to see me only if I inspired him to do so. Om ajnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya taksur unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha. Sri Caitanya-mano bhishtam stapitam yena bhutale sayam rupa kadamayam dadati sapadantikam. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, greetings from New Jersey. And but in our minds, Rupa Goswami said, if you can't go to Vrindavan, or that means also Mayapur physically, one could live there in their minds. And actually, I have to say, better to be in New Jersey or any place else with your mind in Vrindavan than be in Vrindavan with your mind in the West. But it's certainly fortunate to be in Vrindavan with your mind in Vrindavan. And I hope I can really sincerely take advantage of this. I think the separation from Vrindavan has actually been good for me. I think so many ways being here has been good for me. Just the fact that during the pandemic, at least for my own life, I woke up and from morning to evening, I had no responsibilities except the ones I impose upon myself, which is always something that I always try to seek and do. Was really good in getting, regulated in sadhana and health. And also these Zoom classes started, and I feel more satisfied in my role as a spiritual guide that I can actually perform this function better than ever. I don't know if I'm doing it better than ever. I have more facility to do it better than ever, because that's the real relationship. Real relationship with teacher is based on education and hearing. And somehow this offers the facility for it. And I hope to continue it when I'm in the Dham. I'm not sure about the 11 o'clock class. Today there will be an 11 o'clock class because of the time difference, but I've been doing this, I don't know, steadily. My good friend Henry knows how many days, he's been on from the beginning, 12 or 14 years. I've managed to keep this up wherever I am. But But anyway, now I'm going to feel this nice separation from Navadvip and Mayapur Dham. And when we read about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Namo Maha Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, he's the most munificent avatar because he's giving this Prema Bhakti, Prema Pramartha Mahan. That's the goal. The goal is not just love, the goal is the highest love. And what else can be the goal? And that's what ultimately the Krishna consciousness movement is supposed to do. And that's why Prabhupada did spend time in the Dhams, and now hopefully now some of you that want to come will be able to come. Now that they've opened up for tourist visas, beginning on November 15th, and the full range of international flights from India, they're hoping to do by the end of the year. And I have to say, I one thing I do is I Google a country and COVID chart, and they chart the numbers. Somehow or other, India, which had the worst COVID, now has the best numbers. It's minuscule what's going on there in terms of that. So, and I do feel, quite healthy and take care of myself. So here, this story, it's just wonderful again. What can be more wonderful than God being absorbed, God in the mood of a devotee being perfectly absorbed in himself, and the method that he gave is something that we can take part in, which is kirtan. Sankirtanaika Pitaro, Lord Chaitanya is the father of kirtan. So he's absorbed in kirtan. And as Jiva Goswami says, it gives special feelings of bliss, because group activities, when centered on community spirit, because you can enter into a group with ego, but if you enter into kirtan, trinata, peace, and ichena, more tolerant than a blade of grass. Pradyumna Prabhu told me a blade of grass in a lawn, it adds to the effect, but it never says, look at me. So when you enter into a community that is functional and centered on God in a way that Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hidyantasto Yabhadrani Vidanoti Sarit Satam, where God, who's Sarit Satam, he is the well-wisher, the close friend of the devotees. In that community, God benedicts. He gives a benediction when there is this community exchanging Krishna consciousness. He gives this benediction. And in that benediction, when you enter into that community, which is full of mercy based on the holy name, it just has an ability for you to take your self-centeredness, the cloud consciousness, which blocks you from the energy of and connection with God, out. You can get special feelings of bliss. And here we're seeing how Lord Chaitanya has special feelings of bliss. And he has such special feelings of bliss that he's in Samadhi Kirtan. And Samadhi Kirtan means the absorption is so deep, you lose cognizance of where you are and who you're with. The absorption is so thick, there's no thoughts for anything connected with your personal egotistical identity, not even your location, not even you're just so absorbed. So absorbed. And that, to come to that platform by Sankirtan, according to Ishvara Puri, to Lord Chaitanya, that is the essence of the Bhagavatam. To awaken your relationship with Krishna and become overwhelmed with prema bhakti, which is sandrandana visheshatma. Sandra means like steel. There's no space in between. It's not lax, it's dense. And having your love for God so dense that there's no space in your consciousness for anything else. I'll just share one of my Monday morning musings for my next Monday morning greetings, but I described the killer of japa meditation. And the killer of japa meditation is the conception, when will this be finished? Because what it does, it focuses your consciousness away from the eternal now. And in spiritual activities, you want that now to just expand. You want the activity that you're focused on in meditation to just expand. That eternal now, you want it to expand. And in that eternal now, there's no boredom. But as soon as you say, when I will be finished, you jump out of that. And when you jump out of that, you enter into the oppression of time, which exists not in the eternal now. Something like that. But anyway, Lord Chaitanya is absorbed in the spiritual consciousness. This spiritual realm is beyond time. He's absorbed, and it's hard to break through to that. And they want to give him advice that he should leave this place because the king is nearby, who's a Hindu-hating Muslim king. He's nearby, and he may call you at any moment. Although when the policeman went to report Lord Chaitanya, miraculously, somehow or other, the king became impressed with his ability to attract so many, to command respect. The king said, I can only demand respect. And there are people out there that in a second, they would kill me. This person doesn't have any power, material power, but people are coming from all over to see him. And what does he look like? And the description of him. So somehow or other, the message was, okay, the king is okay with you, and he's even made an order, leave him alone. But advisors know that you can't trust a demoniac person, even if he makes a promise to do something good, because mano rite dasati davato bihi, that he's on the mental plane. And everything he does, even when he does something good, is a calculation for one's own benefit. And if you see that benefit changes, you'll change your idea, just like Kamsa, as soon as he was told, oh, you're such a fool. The eighth child of your sister that you're carrying on the chariot will kill you. Then immediately he changed his mind from, I'm taking my sister on her wedding day till I'll kill her. And that's actually what material consciousness is. The more narcissistic you are, the more you look at things according to your own desire. And when you get into the demoniac realm, you'll do anything. You'll even justify killing someone because they are a competitor, or you feel that they're taking away some of your field of activity to enjoy. I saw a comment by Noam Chomsky, and he said, it never ceases to amaze me how selfish people can get on the basis of their own wealth to do whatever they want without regard for anybody else. And this is evil. So don't trust this demoniac king. And now Lord Chaitanya somehow comes out of his consciousness. He's God. He moves by his own energies. He puts himself under his own Leela Shakti. He relinquishes control for the purpose of rasa. But that his own Shakti, his pastime Shakti, serves him just to enhance his love and enhance his pleasure in any way. Now, it brings him out of his consciousness, and he's now listening, and he's not impressed, because he said the king will say that he wants to see me only if I inspire him to do so. So now he's speaking from the platform of God. And what's that platform? Sarvasya chaham hidi sani vishto matasmitir jnanam apohanam cha. I am situated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. That's why before you begin a devotional activity, that it's necessary to offer prayers. Because ultimately, your ability to think, your ability to move your mouth, and the inspirations that you get, it comes from that kind of connection. And if you forget that connection, you can, God in a second can take away that potency. In a second, he can take away that potency. So Chaitanya, only if I inspire him, will he call me. Amadeki bari shakti kon va tahara vede anveshya deka napaya āmāre. Otherwise, what power does he have to see me? Even the Vedas cannot see me after intense search. Now, I've made this point many, many times, but it keeps on coming up, and it's worth repeating, that the nature of a person is more than his position, and it's more than his form. It's his heart. It's his heart. And no one can control your heart. Oh, yeah, out of love, someone can control your heart. I should say that only out of love can someone control your heart. So the main part of God is his heart. The main part of God actually is he's your lover, he's your friend, he's your child, he's your master, he's your Lord. The main part of God is his personality. And that's why the abhideya tattva is bhakti, because personality, love, is only manifest from love. Bhakti sanjayate bhakti. Bhakti comes from bhakti. So you can't analyze a person to know them. You can only love a person. This point I repeated so many times, I'm not going to elaborate on it too much, but Vedeshu durlabam, adurlabam atma bhakto. By the Vedas, it's very difficult. Vedeshu durlabam, adurlabam atma. But by devotion, adurlabam, it's very, very simple. And then, of course, the Brahma Samhita just puts it by Lord Brahma, pantastu koti satavatsara sampagam yo vayora tapi manaso mani pungavanam. By the speed of mind, for millions of years, you cannot attain God. Because you can't control God. You can't control him with your vision. You can't control him with your intellect. You can only control God by your love. And therefore, the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service is Sri Krishna, Karshini. That's Radharani. Krishna can be controlled by love. And that's an opulence. It's an opulence to be controlled by love. That's a great opulence when you're controlled by love, because if you're not controlled by love and you don't reciprocate, then you're impersonal. And as Prabhupada said in one purport, God does not have the defect of impersonality. So Lord Chaitanya is saying, what power does he have to see me? I always quote from Lord Chaitanya speaking to Gopinath Acharya. No, Gopinath Acharya speaking to Lord Chaitanya about his brother-in-law. He said, even though you're standing right before him, he cannot see you because he thinks of himself as a separate and independent God. Your delusional self-conceptions affect your perception of people. Generally, they cause envy, which makes people seem less than they are. So this is a theme that comes up again and again. And he's going to continue it. Devarshi, Rajarshi, Siddha, Parana Bharate, Ama, Anveshaye Keha, Napaya Dekita. The saintly demigods, the saintly kings, the perfected beings, the Puranas, and the Mahabharata cannot see me after intense search. Again, a common point. We're not separated from God by a physical distance, because God is everywhere. God is beyond time and space. So where does he manifest? It's not that you can go this direction for billions of miles and go to Goloka Vrindavan. It's another dimension. And that dimension is only crossed by our faith, our conviction that there is God and that the highest thing is to dedicate and surrender and serve. The best we can do is stay at sit outside the threshold of God's kingdom and beg to get in. We cannot open the door by ourselves. So it's so nice in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, along with these wonderful stories that open our hearts. How nice Vrindavan Das Thakur. How nice Vrindavan Das Thakur can put the seeds of devotion in our hearts. Sankirtan, Arambe, Mohara Avatar, Udara Karimu Sarva, Patita Samsara. I've incarnated to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. I will deliver all the fallen souls of this world. So now he's saying, this is my purpose. This is why I've come. I'm not come to be controlled by a king. I've come to demonstrate my Leela so that people have subject matter to attract them to serve. And I've come to personally deliver Patita Pavana, to deliver the fallen, Patita Pavana, Hetu, Tava Avatar. This avatar has come to deliver the most fallen, that concept, the negative attracts the positive. The negative is the lack that we feel within us and the dependency we have on God and his holy name. And the positive is that holy name. And it has to be attracted to the consciousness. We can't mechanically produce it. There has to be consciousness. And then God reciprocates. That's what Shuddhanam means. What does the pure name mean? When we chant the pure name, then that person of the holy name, which is God, fully manifests. And therefore, people that hear that, God is manifest to them if they hear it in the right way. And it may sound the same as other chanting that's even more embellished, but it has so much more a different effect when someone chants the name purely of Krishna, because it invokes the personality of God to manifest. And then that heart, which is manifest in sound, which attracts Krishna, then the person who hears it is touched by that heart to open his own heart and also have a similar revelation. Ye daitya yavane more kabe nahi mane eyuge tahara kandibeka more name. In this age, the demons and yavanas who have no faith in me will also cry while chanting my names. And this has happened. Pritiviti achiyati nagaradi gram. Lord Chaitanya said, my name will be chanted in every town and village. And we never can minimize the status of Srila Prabhupada in our Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya from Lord Chaitanya. One time, and I had this service in Vrindavan when Prabhupada's disappearance festivals first started. At least some years, I was sent to invite different senior Vaishnavas, and some real senior Vaishnavas would come, and there would be some kind of eulogy. But the mood, the spirit was, one Vaishnava got up and said, if Rupa Goswami, Haridas Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada were here in this assembly, and Lord Chaitanya came, who would he come to first? He said, I say Prabhupada, because who is more attached to the holy name than the person who spread it around the world? Of course, this is sahitya. It's poetry, it's glorification. It's not meant to wait. Rupa Goswami and Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur. But what it's meant to show is Prabhupada and Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami as spiritual luminaries. Kirata Huninda Pulinda Pulkasa. Kirata Huninda Pulinda Pulkasa. Yenye. Anyway, I'm not going to remember that verse, but Kirata Huninda Pulinda Pulkasa Kashadaya Yenye Chapapa Chidapasayasaya Shujanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. That even the most sinful Kirata Hunanda Pulinda Pulkasa. Anyway, it mentions certain countries which are sinful. Geographically corresponding to different places in the world. But basically it means that people are not following Varnashram and their culture, they eat meat and sinful life. But it said, Yenye Chapapa Chidapasrayasaya Shujanti Tasme Prabhavena Vishnu. He has the power of Vishnu. This is about the devotee. They have the power of God. They have the power of God. And therefore, they can touch people's hearts and change people. I remember when Prabhupada disappeared 11 days after we had his festival, and some Prabhupada's godbrothers were there, and I was walking up the Gurukul building and Jayapataka Swami was coming down the stairs and he's very excited. He said, I just spoke to Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he said that Prabhupada was a Shaktavesh avatar for preaching. Shaktavesh means that you're enthused with the potency of God and you can do something as if God did it. So the Leela of Prabhupada is no different than Leela of Lord Chaitanya. There wouldn't be any different result if Lord Chaitanya wound up in New York or Prabhupada wound up in New York. Because he was Shaktavesh. He had the Shakti, the power. And Lord Chaitanya is saying, in this age of demons and yavanas who have no faith in me, will also cry while chanting my names. Somehow or other. I know a godbrother of mine, his father bombed the temple. And when he was dying, and his son sent message to Israel where he was living, one devotee got in there and put, I don't know, Ganga water on him or something like that. I know another godbrother whose mother wrote a letter cursing Prabhupada. Really, there's a letter cursing Prabhupada. And then I'm sitting in the restaurant in the MVT. No, it wasn't the MVT. It was an old restaurant before the MVT. And there was the mother in Vrindavan. So there's power. In this age, I will distribute devotional service that is desired by the demigods, sages, and perfected beings to everyone, including the untouchables, miscreants, yavanas, dog eaters, women, sudras, and other fallen souls belonging to the lower class. So everyone gets delivered. Everyone gets delivered. But people who are intoxicated by education, wealth, high birth, knowledge, and austerity, and who as a result commit offenses at the feet of my devotees, will be cheated in this age, for they will not accept my glories. So here's the incredible benefit of the age, is that it's a facility for humility. That's the quality of Kali Yuga. Devotion in the form of kirtan is unlimitedly merciful to those who are devoid of a sense of false prestige. So in this age, your weaknesses can become your strengths if they make you dependents. That's the recovery program, the 12-step program. Your weakness that you failed so miserably and you're helpless becomes your strength, because you do the greatest thing, and that's you take shelter. You take refuge, and you develop a process of connection with the Supreme. So that's, and on the other hand, Janmaishvarya, Shruta, Shribir, Edamana, Madapunam, Navahatya Buddhaitumvai, Twam Makinchana, Gochara. If one becomes intoxicated, if one allows his strengths to be appropriated by the false ego, then he'll commit offense, just like Brihaspati. He was the guru of Indra. And somehow or other, Brahaspati was holding court and Indra walked into the assembly and didn't offer the proper respect. He got cursed, but that is the curse. Your consciousness is the curse because it covers you from the soul. He didn't offer proper respect. We lack the culture of respect. I see a huge problem, a big problem, the culture of respect. You know, I read in the Bhagavatam that when Uddhava met Vidura in Vrindavan, Vidura was answering some questions, but then would not answer the questions further because Maitreya Muni, who was senior and much learned, was in the vicinity. And it described as a certain etiquette in that regard, a culture of respect, a culture of humility. Because respect attracts affection, and affection is a translation of mercy, because in Sanskrit, mercy is anugraha. Anugraha means affection. We advance by affection. We advance by appreciation. We advance by, so I read that in the Bhagavatam. And then I remember I was visiting my godbrother, Giriraj Swami, in Carpinteria near Santa Barbara. I was visiting him. And he said, Maharaj, you know, there's some new Western person here. You know, you're very expert at this. You go preach to him. So after lunch, I went in the next room and I was preaching to him, and then people coming around, and then Giriraj Swami walked in the room, and I stopped because he's senior. He's more advanced. He's senior. Then he said, no, Maharaj, you continue. So there's a culture of respect, of how we move in this world to make ourselves receptacles for mercy, and how carefully we deal with the acharyas, how carefully and respectfully. There's a whole culture of it. Pradyumna told me that sometimes there were great Madhva scholars, and he lived with these great Madhva scholars. Really, and people don't even know how many people he lived with. I was once in Udupi getting Ayurvedic treatment from one of my former students who became a famous Ayurvedic doctor named Tanmay Goswami. He looked me up and invited me to come there, and he'd treat me for free. He was actually the son of a Radharaman Goswami. Maybe when I go to Vrindavan, if I decide to stay a little bit longer, maybe I'll take some panchakarma there in Udupi. Because Ayurveda makes the sick healthy and the healthy healthier. So I think can become healthier. Sometimes, let me see. Anybody remember the point I was making? I'll get back on track.
The Ayurvedic doctor.
Oh yeah, Pradyumna. Thank you. Now I remember. Thank you. So I was there and I was getting treatment, and I walked in, and Tanmay Goswami, I went to his office and someone was sitting there, and he was treating that person's son. And he said, this is Dhanurdhara Swami from ISKCON. And then the person, his name was Govinda Acharya, he said, yes, I know you're Pradyumna. He lived with me for 6 months in 1976. And Govinda Acharya, the level of scholarship you can't even imagine of these people. So sometimes Pradyumna told me that they would go in commentaries 500 years ago and have to make, they would think some editing or some correction, or maybe the person said something and it was not correct or whatever. And then when they would write their own commentaries, they would never say the person's wrong. They would say Rishi Uchu, the sage said, and then they would say what they're saying. Not having that confidence in their own intellect, but if it seems different, okay, he said this, I say this. He said that's the culture of respect. So these people get intoxicated and they lose their respect. That's the worst thing, because then they commit offenses. And then they don't accept Lord Chaitanya's glories. Prithivi payante yati achi desha gram. Savitra saschara haibeka moranam. In every town and village of the world, the chanting of my names will be heard. Prabhupada fulfilled this prediction. This is the reason I have advented in this world, but I have not found anyone who is searching for me. Why will the king want to see me? I can tell all of you that such rumors are all false. After speaking these words to devotees, the Lord manifested external consciousness and the devotees all became satisfied. In this way, the Lord passed a few more days fearlessly, enjoying Sankirtan pastimes in that village. Who has the power to understand the will of the Lord? He did not go to Mathura, but returned back. He said to all the devotees, I will go to see Nilachala Chandra. Okay, we'll end today because I'm going to have to leave here very soon to visit someone. But I have about 5 or 10 minutes. So, Chumunajaya, a point that struck you today? You usually started off nicely.
Thank you for class, Maharaj, and safe travels. I really love the point of that this age can be the facility for humility. And I remember Jai Jagannath said something about, he says, I feel like this age, what does he say, humiliates me on the regular, you know, the way he talks. So that reminds me, this such a good point, such a good point.
Wow, great. I should mention to people that the first thing that I'm going to do when I go to Vrindavan, it just so happens a friend of mine is there and he's hosting some people. He's arriving the same date as me. And we're going to go to Sridhar Mali. So I'll arrive. My plan is I'll probably arrive in Vrindavan at 1:30 in the morning, and I'm just going to stay up and chant because I have to begin my Kartik Vrata. And then we'll go there. If anybody wants to make it a little donation for him, we can do some Bridge Basi Seva, and I'll certainly give him a nice donation. Nice family. Okay, anybody else like to say hello?
Yeah. Hare Krishna Maharaj. The point that you made that got my attention was that, you know, when you're talking about a different dimension, you can't get to it by, you know, traveling through space.
Right.
Mm.
Only by consciousness.
Only by consciousness, yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I made your day, Gail. Great. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Srila Radhika Devidasi here.
Oh, Haribo.
Thanks, Maharaj, for the class. Thank you very much for the class.
Maybe, you know, after January, where maybe it's more clear, you both can come and spend some time in Vrindavan or.
Yeah, we would love to. Marge, how long will you stay in Vrindavan?
I have a one-way ticket, which means I could come back earlier or I could come back later.
No,
So-
just stay there. It seems when you're in India, it seems more near to us. So I hope you stay longer there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's
And
true.
then we can plan to come, Maharaj.
What?
Because then we can plan to come. If you stay longer, we can
Oh,
plan
well,
to
even
come.
if I go back to the West, I'll definitely be there in late January, February, but it looks like I'll stay
Oh,
through.
That's good.
Let's make a plan. Let's
Yeah.
make a
Yeah,
plan.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Hopefully see you.
Okay.
Okay, Haribo.
Okay.
All right, anybody else like to say hello?
Thank you for a wonderful class, Maharaj.
Why, my good friend Henry, nice to see you. Good. You're still able to have the class outside. That's great, huh?
The fake background.
What? Okay. All right, Henry, great. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you for class. And have
Oh.
a safe trip.
Wow, so nice to see you. Great.
Thank
Good,
you so much.
good.
Haribo. Hare Krishna.
You also should come to Vrindavan when you get a chance. Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Gumaraj, Tota Gopinath here.
And Kishori Radha.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Hare Krishna.
Have a fun day together.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Krishna Gumaraj, all good
Hare
in
Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Oh, Haribo. I see Lal and Braja and Radha Krishna in the back.
Yeah.
Braja, if you just move a little this way, we can get it. Such nice worship. Wow. I'm bringing some chocolate to your friend Raghunath there.
Oh,
Is he
very
lo-
nice.
Yeah. Oh, wow, huh? Such nice worship. Thank you for darshan.
Thank you, Gumaraj.
Okay, Haribo. Anybody
Well,
else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Namaste here.
Haribo. Maybe we
Thank
can,
you for the class.
maybe we can also see you in sometime.
I hope so. I hope so.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is Champak. Thank you so much for class.
Champak, as soon as it comes, you mail me, okay?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Shirupa. Thank you for class.
Yeah, I see the list, so I know everyone that's there. I have that idea. One or two more people say hello, and then I'll go on my way. Anybody
Hare
else?
Krishna Maharaj. This is Malati.
Malati, Haribo.
Haribo. I'm so sorry that I won't get to connect with you today. But I know we'd be interrupted endlessly with my
Okay,
kids.
well, you know, from India, it's easy to call, so maybe next month we'll
Okay.
talk. Okay.
Okay, I'll look forward to that. Thank you, Maharaj.
It was so great that you were at the Vyas Puja, and I spoke to
Yes.
Kaveri. She was so happy that you were there.
Oh,
She
that's so
said you
sweet.
were fantastic.
I had a wonderful time connecting with the devotees. Yeah, thank you.
Right. From the day before, you got to participate. She said it was like old time ISKCON where people were in the temple making garlands and enthusiastic.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, that's what she remembers from her own beginning in Krishna consciousness. So that kind of experience is so nice. Good.
It is, yes. Thank you,
Okay.
Maharaj.
All right. Anybody else? And then. Okay, then I will head out. I see every single name and I thank every single person for coming. I will give class at 11 o'clock if anyone's still around. Okay. Vanchakopa Trubhyas Chakapas in the meeting.